Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So Arnold Barboza Jr. defeats Alex Saucedo by a 10-round unanimous decision. I have to say, I was looking forward to this fight going in, and this fight delivered, man. This was a very entertaining co-main event, and the right man got his hand raised. Very competitive throughout, but in my opinion, Arnold Barboza, for the most part, was in control throughout this fight. There was a couple of rounds here and there where Barboza wasn't in control. For example, like round one, Saucedo started really well. Barboza actually came out in the southpaw stance, which is unusual for him. Usually he fights in the orthodox stance, but he came out in this fight in round one in the southpaw stance. And, that resulted in Alex Saucedo landing several hard left hooks. And the first round was super competitive, and Saucedo was really having some good moments. But as the fight wore on, once Barboza started to go into his orthodox stance more and more, Barboza was then controlling the fight. At range, Barboza was clearly getting the better of Alex Saucedo behind those straight punches. In the mid-range, when both guys were exchanging, both guys were having success, but once again, to me it looked like Barboza, who was landing the more eye-catching shots and the greater volume of shots as well. And on the inside, both guys again were trading. But once again, for me, Barboza was just doing a little bit more. Basically, it was one of those fights where Saucedo was competitive in all of the rounds, but for the most part, Barboza was winning the rounds, if that makes sense. Round one, you could have scored for Saucedo, and Saucedo definitely won round seven. Round seven, actually, he scored a knockdown, which wasn't called by the referee, but on later review, in between the rounds, Nevada actually changed it to a knockdown, which was great to see. They used the video replay in between rounds to conclude that it was a knockdown. Basically, Barboza kind of lost his balance, he was backpedaling, and Saucedo then landed a left hook, which put him down. And when the left hook was landed, Barboza did actually set his feet, so it was definitely a knockdown. So it was good to see the video replay being used in a good manner. So that was good. But that was just a little setback. Barboza responded well, finished the fight strongly, and he boxed his way to a 10-round unanimous decision. Fun fight. Both guys had their moments. There were some good exchanges, but the right man got his hand raised in Arnold Barboza Jr. And listen, Barboza is certainly what I would call a good contender at 140 pounds, but he's one of those guys who I don't really see winning a title anytime soon due to the people who are holding belts, Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. I don't think he can beat guys like that, but once Undisputed has happened, chances are the belts will be vacated because both guys look like they're going to move up. Once the belts become vacated, maybe Barboza could actually snag a vacant title. But yeah, he's certainly a good fighter. He's a fun fighter, a lot of volume, not much power, but he's a pretty entertaining fighter. And he certainly earned a shot at somebody relevant in the top 10. As for Saucedo, Saucedo's always going to be a good gatekeeper, a good fringe contender. But at the top level, I think this guy's always going to come up short. Just a lack of defense, lack of head movement. He's not all that dynamic and he doesn't really change things up. What you see is what you get from Saucedo. At a certain level, the guy's going to be involved in some very fun fights, but he's not going to be one of those guys who really troubles the top guys. We've seen that twice now with his fight with Maurice Hooker and now his fight with Arnold Barboza Jr. So, yeah, listen, Saucedo's good, but he's not like a top 10 sort of guy. As for Barboza, I would actually like to see him fight Victor Postal next. I don't think that will happen, but I would love to see that fight. I think Top Rank would see that as too much of a risk for Arnold Barboza Jr. I think they want him in position to fight for a title after Undisputed, basically. But yeah, man, good fight. It certainly lived up to what I was expecting. And yeah, man, Arnold Barboza gets the win. Share your thoughts below. Peace.